Start stream.
So did you get the i5 bricks?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Okay.
So is the Wi-Fi Bluetooth card? It's soldered in.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. For me, it is. I don't know about him.
Good luck, baby.
Good luck, baby.
Hey.
Damn it, woman, we're live.
So the only one that's in here is Trash Can Love right now.
Oh man, the #1 fan.
Right, so far. Okay.
Oh man, I should have thought this through. I should have went and got energy drink, and I should have got food.
Should have got
So
something.
So many mistakes in my life right now.
Alright.
So I guess we'll just wait for a few minutes, see if anybody. Wait for the other peeps. So wait, no.
I'm not seeing
Cider.
anybody quote unquote viewing, but
So I guess we'll just
Trash
wait.
Can Love is
Wait
in
for a
here.
few minutes, see if anybody. Right. So on the bricks that you have is the Wi-Fi card soldered in to the PCI slot.
No.
So wait. Okay. So you can easily dual NIC if you want to lose Wi-Fi capability.
No, because that's the problem. I explained this to Alpha earlier. It's not a difference of having two MSATAs. So both MSATAs are one of them is by itself.
No, not MSIT. Huh?
See, yeah, that's confusing. It's terminology. So you can replace the MSATA with an Ethernet controller. Yes.
Right.
So that's all it is.
What?
Yeah,
I'm just thinking, like, why don't you just pull the Wi-Fi card out and stick a Ethernet card in?
Because my Wi-Fi card, well, for you, is it MSATA? Cider?
It's one's MSATA, the other one's like M.2.
It's
No,
a
no, no.
half-size mini PCIe slot occupied by the Wi-Fi BT card.
Yes.
There it is.
And so you can't pull that out and put an Ethernet card in there?
No sirs.
Why?
Because you only have, for me, I only have one.
What do you mean you only have one? You should have two. You should have an MSATA slot and the other slot, right?
No. I have an
According to
MSATA
the-
slot and a regular one.
I'm not the crazy one.
According
You suck at explaining this.
I do. I am the worst explainer. I don't know why I'm doing this live stream.
Because I don't have two monitors and I'm a piece of shit.
We'll get you there.
Hold on. Okay, I need a picture of this.
I sent you one. Hold on. I'll send you one again right now. Hold on.
Well, send me one of the shot. Like,
I gotcha.
Send me the upskirt.
I will. Send it to the group. I already sent it to Alpha, but let me send it to you.
So
this one says expansion slots. I'm on Newegg right now. Expansion slots. One AIM SATA slot. One PCIe M.2.
M.2. Yeah. That's the thing. M.2 doesn't have any Ethernet boards. If that makes any sense.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's a lot
okay.
smaller. So the Ethernet portion I got is for MSATA. So MSATA which is PCI Express, and then you have the M.2, which is different size.
So basically the issue is you need a PCI M.2 Ethernet controller.
they don't have them.
They don't exist.
I'm gonna build one.
You're the one that's gonna change it all. All right. So let's see if this fucking Windows box pulls up, or this XP box.
Having issues?
Hey, there we go. Look at that. Wait, that's not right. We don't want to see that.
So
Hey,
there's
we got 8 viewers. Look at that.
Yeah. Oh, Spectre's back.
Spectre's back. Oh god, I don't want to hear all that. Mute that shit.
Hey, Cider, go ahead and make it so I can see your screen on the Hangout.
Stand by one.
But there's a mini PCIe slot inside the 4th generation NUC that can be used to add a second Ethernet NIC. Here's my story. What?
Alright, so these two should be able to see each other. So we got 215. .15.2.15. Why do they have the same IP address?
By a half-length mini PCI Ethernet. Okay, this guy basically has done the major issues that you guys have. Have you looked at this guy's site? The Stefan Foskett Packrat adding a second Ethernet port to an Intel NUC via mini PCIe?
Yeah, I think that's the one. Nick, something Nick, right? He's the one that
VM Nick.
got Alpha all excited to do this whole Nick project.
Shoot the link so
Huh?
I know.
I sent it.
Yeah, he'll take care of it. I don't know. So let's see. Fix this crap.
All right, we got 7 people.
17.
So, are you recording this for YouTube as well?
Sure am.
Okay. So, Trashcan Love asks, "What's good about XP?" There's literally nothing good about XP.
Absolutely not.
I'm just
That's
kidding.
not true. That's not true.
I'm
It's
just
good for
kidding.
practice.
XP, we use XP because XP has especially an unpatched version of XP, so XP Service Pack 1, because it has a lot of known vulnerabilities and it's very old. The other thing that a lot of people use XP for is, for whatever reason, they like to do malware disassembly analysis in it. I can't speak as to why. I just know a few friends who do it and like it for that reason. So we're just doing some pre-setup right now, letting a couple more people come in before we get started.
Before we jump straight into it.
Yeah.
Alright, so in theory I should be able to. Alright.
I don't know. I don't know if a lot of companies still run XP. I mean, there's probably a fair share out there. I know my organization's upgraded our entire network, and we have, I don't know, upwards of, I don't know, several thousand users.
It's true.
But I'd be interested to see that demographic of people who still use XP, unless you have to use it for legacy purposes. I don't know why you wouldn't upgrade.
Let me know who doesn't use XP, and then I can hopefully get some money off of them by consulting for a pen test. I'll give them a solid deal for that.
Some
So what are you running through right now, Cider?
Right now I'm just trying to get the two to talk to each other, and for some reason I'm an idiot. Oops. Not equals, damn it. Oh my god. That's how you get caught up in it. Okay.
Oh my gosh, you suck. IF.
I know.
Or IPADDR.
Shut your mouth.
Oh my gosh, stop doing that.
All right.
Wait, I should be looking at the Google Hangout. I'm looking at that live stream and watching you like just suffer.
Suffer like through everything.
Right. Yeah, there we go.
What's going on here? All right, so let's do this by setting up a closed network.
Oh, that's why.
I haven't used VirtualBox in a while.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with VirtualBox. I'm going this route because it's free. So if anybody that wants to do it instead of spending the thousands of dollars to try and Git workstation or anything like that.
Yeah, I use VirtualBox
Do you?
because it is free.
God dang it! I just did it again. But I did it on the Windows side. Let's do this. Work. Post only adapter. Okay. I always get back and forth between each one. Okay. So anybody watching, I just all I did was change it to host only and reset the network so that it could have a fresh IP address. Should be set for DHCP and it should grab its own.
I'm having a brain dump. What's the notorious hole in Windows XP2 that we use in Metasploit?
Oh, MS06 or 8607 or some crap like that.
Yeah. It's always fun.
The NetBIOS API or not API?
Yeah, that's the one.
NetBIOS 867 MS 0867.
That's
There
the
you
one.
go.
Okay, so in theory we should be able to talk to each other. Let's try this again. There we go. There we go, they're talking.
Victory.
Something like that. Ugh, that looks horrible.
Yeah, that's fine.
Alright, so we have 7 viewers now.
3 of them are us.
Spectra, it looks like Spectra left. Viewer list doesn't have him in there. Spectra, you still here? Little buddy?
Nope, he's out. He's out now that he divulged his company uses XP.
Fair enough. We don't want that. I don't care about you. Let me go ahead and turn off firewall so we can not have an issue with this, unless XP doesn't bother.
Let's go Reddit.
Okay, doesn't matter. Cool. Haha, and came back. Look at him. There he is.
If you want, you could run them through that exploit. I mean, if we have time at the end.
So we got Mariners Lakers that just came in. Welcome.
Oh, you're talking about the MS0867?
Yeah, that's the one. I don't know.
He has
Do
it all
you
up.
want me to run through that? I mean, that's kind of not what we're.
I mean, it is XP.
We got Kali and XP. That's the only thing we have right now.
Right.
And this, fuck, you're probably going to go off of. So for now, and you can get XP for free. You don't have to download it illegally or anything like that. And I'll send you the link. I'll post it up in the chat. It's straight from fucking Windows or modern something. Here we go. Dev.monitor. Throw that up there.
So on the note of what are we going to teach? What aren't we going to teach? I don't know. Something old like Windows XP2 that has that vulnerability, showing them that those vulnerabilities exist. I don't know. I kind of like that perspective. So I don't know. It's a fine line. I know what you mean though.
Right. So you should be able to download all of these for free if you go to that link. It just got posted up. You should be able to click down and pick the virtual machine you want to download. XP, Vista, Windows 7, Windows 8, so on and so forth, with different Internet Explorers put in on it.
I did not know that website existed.
And you should be able to do it for Mac as well. Like if you have your current host OS, if you have Linux, Mac, or Windows, you should be able to pull those VMs to run, and you can pick the platform you want to run into. So you got Hyper-V, VirtualBox, VMware, VPC. It just depends on what platform you want to go with. It's just something you can mess with back and forth if that's the route you want to take, instead of trying to, BitTorrent an XP whole image and then install it. This is automatically already set up and ready to go.
So explain to me, what is that website? Like, why is that free? I've never even heard of that.
It's Microsoft Edge.
Mm-hmm.
It's their, I guess their, I don't know how to describe it really. It's their mobile portion of Microsoft Edge, or Microsoft.
Mm-hmm.
And if anyone's got a better explanation than that, because I'm horrible at explaining, I apologize. My explanations do not make any sense when they verbally come out, but I understand what I'm saying when I say
Well,
it.
that's good.
It's comforting,
So
I know.
it's a full blown virtual machine in
Yeah, essentially, yeah. It's so for the Windows XP one, it's like a gig. It's literally just a gig sized
hmm
download, and I can run you through how to open it. So you go, File, Import Appliance, and then you click the one you want. So for me, it was in the desktop, and it's just right here. It's a virtual format archive, and it's just under 1 gig, and then you just run it. It's that simple.
Right. Interesting.
And I don't know for Kali, you can just run live CD. Right now, this Kali version is running as live CD, so it's running in memory, not as its own box yet. So I haven't done the install.
So that's what you're running from?
Yeah.
Nice.
Well,
So if one of you guys, let me mute that. One of you guys want to go over the different settings that are involved? So like the network settings, so NAT, host only, all that jazz. We can do that if you're more versed.
what the heck? Okay, that's that IA thing. Yeah, I'll go over them. So, first off, can you go to the main VirtualBox library window? Bring that up.
Yep. Give me 1 second.
You know what? Hold on, I'm looking at the Twitch stream again. I should be looking at the other one.
So I've got the VirtualBox adapters if that's what you're looking for. The network
No,
adapters.
not that. No, just go to the main, the VirtualBox library window.
Yeah, give me a second. For some reason, I guess I closed that part. Where the hell did you go? There we go. Okay. Why are you not working? So for some reason, I can't find it.
Interesting. Okay, well, I was going to show on how to set up actually like the virtual networks and stuff like that too.
All right, I'm trying to get to that. Should have created a shortcut. There we go. That's the one.
Yeah. Okay. So go to I think it's in file Go back to file. I think it's in preferences. No, preferences. Network.
Boom.
Okay, so basically, for everyone who's watching, this is how in VirtualBox, Oracle's VirtualBox, you can create virtual networks without the use of a router, and you can connect virtual machines. The thing with this is you can designate only your virtual machines to talk to only your virtual machines, or you can give them access to external of your network. And all you do is basically create these networks like this. And here, this is the network details page. So you can just name your network, whatever you want. And then you're going to give your network an IP address space. And you're also going to give it a subnet. So I'm not sure how many of you guys are familiar with subnetting. It's a very critical skill when you're going to be in this business, so I highly recommend you learn it. The next thing is whether or not your network is going to support DHCP. So VirtualBox will automatically start up a DHCP service for you if you don't want to statically assign IP addresses, which is helpful. And then also it has a IPv6 integration, which I don't like to do because I don't like typing out IPv6 addresses. All right, so you can cancel out of that box. So the two types of networks you're going to see are going to be NAT networks and host-only networks. NAT networks are network address translation, and Alpha can discuss a little bit about how network address translation works since he's like the networking guru.
So
But
essentially, you want me to go over it now, or
No, I'm just going to finish these two. So basically, a NAT lets you talk to the outside world in this instance, and then host only is going to allow your virtual computers to talk within. And you can see here, that's going to be the adapter, and that's going to be the DHCP service settings. So if you want to discuss NAT, go ahead.
All right, so you have your NAT, and I don't know if VirtualBox has it, but does it do bridge mode as well?
It does, but it's not under the network settings.
Well, so NAT, essentially what you're doing is if you have your external IP address, but you have all your internal IP addresses, I think of the best way to explain that. So your external router has an IP address that the rest of the world can see, and that's some weird address like a 204 something. But your internal IP address scheme might look real familiar, like 192.168. So those 192.168 addresses, they can't be broadcast around the world. So you have this external IP and internal IP address. And what NATing does is it takes your one external IP address and it kind of maps them to all your internal IP addresses. One, it's to save IP address space. And two, it's kind of a layer of protection so that, your little XP machine at home can't be touched by somebody through the network unless you specifically opened a port to do so. So that's kind of what NAT is. And so in VirtualBox, your NAT network is just saying that, oh, I'm going to get a separate IP address that is behind your host machine, and your host machine being whatever the base operating system is that you're running. Now, if you're doing host only, again, I'm not familiar with it in VirtualBox. So how does host only work here? Is that
it works the exact same way as regular. So all it does is it basically doesn't use the host's physical network interface. It just uses the guest. Yep. So we should clarify those terms.
Right. Host and guest.
Yeah. So basically, when you're creating virtual environments, there's two things. There's a host and there's a guest. The host is the actual physical computer that you have sitting in front of you. So most of you are going to be running like Windows 7 or Windows 8 or Windows 10 coming up soon. That's going to be your host. A guest machine is any virtual machine that's running within it. So when you run host only, that means that basically, like, only it's the host and the set of virtual machines are all contained. Your host's physical network interface will never be used. They use like basically simulated network cards, if that makes any sense.
Right. So essentially, that's if you want to sandbox yourself off from the outside world. Say you're doing malware analysis or malware testing, you're going to want to sandbox yourself from the rest of the world. So you might do something like that.
All right, so go pull up the other, the actual NIC settings now on the machine.
On each one? Okay.
Just on one of them. No, not that. Actual on VirtualBox. Like the menu that you had before.
This one.
Yeah, here. So attached to. So pull the drop down. Yep, right there. Okay, so basically, when you hit the settings for this VirtualBox machine, IE6 WinXP, this is simulating, giving you like adjustments to hardware or NIC settings or network adapter settings. So in this case, we have NAT network, bridge adapter, internal network, host only, and a generic adapter. I'm going to throw up a link real quick to you guys to the VirtualBox manual that kind of describes them as soon as I'm done talking here. But essentially, NAT, or a network address translation, is going to give you access to browse the internet. This basically connects your guest OS to your host OS and allows you to pull information from the internet. This is something you should use while updating your virtual machines and stuff like that. As soon as you touch a piece of malware, you definitely don't want to be using NAT. NAT network is when you're using a whole bunch of other machines with a NAT network that you created previously in the main VirtualBox manager network settings. And that basically, it kind of creates like almost like gateway or a router for all of your traffic to kind of head out through. What was next? Bridge networking. So bridged is basically when you bridge your network connection, this actually touches your host OS's network adapter directly. You don't actually ever touch your host operating system's network stack. Internal networking is when you, I don't know how to explain that correctly.
Which
It's a
one is that?
software internal networking.
I haven't used that one though.
It's basically internal networking is literally what it sounds like. It's just you're internal to the entire network. It's not you can't see it on any of the host machines. You can only see it on the guest machines.
It's similar to bridge networks.
Right. Host-only networking is kind of a blend between internal and bridged. The virtual machines can see the host, and the host can see the virtual machines, but you can't use external connectivity to the internet. And then generic networking is, I don't know why you would ever use that. I don't even know what that means. Nobody ever uses that.
Generic driver.
Yeah. And that's it. That's the last one.
So, and there's a whole virtualbox.org manual if you need anything in particular or more down and dirty and in depth.
So go back to that interface for either of those boxes real quick.
I'll go back to
That screen you were just on.
that's fine.
So I'm more of a VMware guy. So is adapter 1, adapter 2, adapter 3, are those equivalent to your VM nets?
No. So those are actually physical NICs that you can add to your box.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
they have to be added with the system shut down, or the VM shut down.
Right.
So if I shut down XP right now, I can make a change. I can add another adapter to talk to another machine that's in a different network.
So how does VirtualBox handle separate networks, kind of like a VM net would, like a virtual switch?
Okay, so I think you can set up VM nets like that, and you should be able to set up port forwarding through preferences if you're talking about using separate networks like that, right?
Okay, yeah, hit that add under net. Okay, there you go.
So you can do. Let me bring it back over. It just popped up on my left side, but you can do port forwarding to different
right.
to different nets.
Exactly.
So it should work just fine. But that's a larger scheme of things if you're going to set it up. If you're going to do that, you'd probably be better off if you do. You'd probably be better off using something like ESXi or setting up pfSense in a virtual environment to run those.
Mm-hmm.
You know, create your different adapters within VirtualBox and then just connect them inside pfSense to run your network.
Sure. There's a question says, is there a security advantage to VirtualBox versus VMware Workstation?
No,
and
there is, but there isn't. I don't think there is, but it's got more features under VM Workstation. It's more corporate, I guess, if that's the term you want to use. And the only reason we're using VirtualBox right now for this stream is because it's free. You know, we don't want to, and you came in maybe after we kind of covered that, but VirtualBox is free, so we don't have to use Workstation to try and, I guess, promote VMware.
So the only thing that Stan would and the difference between the two, as far as the security advantage, is when talking about VM escapes. I would err on this. Don't take this with a grain of salt, but I would guess that because VMware is a for-profit company and is much bigger following than VirtualBox, VMware will patch VirtualBox or virtual VM escapes malware better than a VirtualBox would. So a VM escape is basically where a piece of malware can identify that it is in a virtual environment and then seek to migrate to a host OS process, thereby getting to the main operating system that it's on.
Since we're talking about that, let's talk about the flip side of the coin from a security perspective. Is VirtualBox open source?
I don't know if it's open source per
So,
se, but I think it's free.
if you did have an open source piece of software versus a commercial piece of software, the theory or the idea behind it is that thousands of people are looking over that source code, so they're more likely to catch a bug versus a corporate entity who A, may not catch the bug, or B, if they do catch the bug, they may not let everybody know because, again, they're a corporate for-profit entity and they don't want to let that be known to people that their software has holes in it. So that's just something to think about.
Yeah, VirtualBox is open source under GNU General Public License.
Okay, cool.
Right.
So another thing that goes along with it, it's not necessarily a security or anything like that, but the performance is a lot better with Workstation. And I use Workstation more often than I use VirtualBox, and Root uses VirtualBox, is that correct? More than anything?
Say that again?
You use VirtualBox over anything else?
I use both. I use VMware on my my laptop, and I use VirtualBox on my desktop.
Okay. So, and that's the thing though. So performance aspect of it, Workstation is going to perform better than VirtualBox will. And especially with anything you're going to do, like if you're going to run graphics inside of a VM or you're going to do something graphic intensive, Workstation is the one you want to go with.
Any reason to run VM instead of a physical machine with Kali? So, yes, several. You guys want to talk about that?
Go for it.
What's the question? I don't see it. Where's it
Any
at?
reason to run run a VM instead of a physical machine with Kali? So it depends on what you're doing, right? If you're going to be pulling apart malware and stuff like that, or you're doing anything security related, you want to have the ability to revert your machine or blow away your OS or contain whatever you're doing. Additionally, when you're doing security work, you're often like installing lots of modules that can break other services on your box, or you're writing scripts, or you're doing all kinds of things that typically like a regular OS is not designed for, and you will break your OS. So it's just easier to constantly like refresh and start from scratch every time you're doing. I don't want to say operation, but every time you're doing an analysis or you're doing a job, I guess. I don't know.
Right.
Project.
And you got Kurt at work who's saying, he's broke his VM at least 20 times, which is, I've come into the same situation where I broke my XP box and my Kali box a few times, and it's refreshing to have that snapshot to just go back and be like, okay, I'm done. And you just reset. You're right back to where you started, and it's not a big issue.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks to break your box and then be like, shit, I need to reinstall my OS. There goes another hour of my day. Where you just click revert snapshot and you're back in 5 minutes.
As a fun fact, one of my buddies was at an interview for a pretty high-profile security firm, and one of the interview questions was, if you were to receive network traffic, would you be able to tell if the traffic was coming from a virtual box or not, or a virtual workstation or not? And so the answer to that type of a question is yes, because typically your NICs are special VMware or VirtualBox NIC identifiers. So just a fun fact.
Thanks for that.
Yeah. If you're ever looking for a job and they ask you, boom, pull that out of your pocket. I guess it has to do with, like, if you wanted to find a vulnerability and exploit, that just gives you more firepower of where to look. If I know you're running a virtual machine, I can look in that direction.
Sure. So should we go with how you built these VMs real quick?
Say one more.
Do you want to roll through how you built these VMs real quick? Not the networking piece, but the actual like install.
Oh god, that was probably the easiest part, but that's we'll run through that real quick too. So I can start from fresh. So I'll do this. Power it all out.
Oh, you don't gotta start from fresh.
It doesn't take long. So go new settings. So all I did was you pop up new. It says create new virtual machine. I'm gonna do Kali first, and it's a Linux system, Ubuntu 64. Okay, it's already there. So cancel. Kali 2. Give it 512. Create a virtual drive. Go ahead.
I would recommend when you guys are making your Kali box, if you're going to be doing anything, at least try to give it 2 gigs of RAM.
Yeah, make me look bad.
So what I've noticed when setting up my virtual machines, especially on like VMware, if you just go with the defaults, I think it defaults to anywhere between 20 to 25 gigs for every image. So definitely when you're setting up your images, go look what the minimum requirements are or whatever the requirements are. And you could, especially if space is a concern, you can kind of par those down. Maybe, especially if you're running like pfSense, I think that only requires like a gig of space, but VMware will give it 20. So just something to think about.
Right. So and Kurt, you have a good point. If you have 8 to 10 or 8 to 16, give it 2. So I've got 32 on my main system, so it's not a big deal to give it 2. So I just give it 2 to make you guys feel better. So we're going to create an 8 gig virtual drive. I'm going to keep it as virtual disk image, so it's all condensed in into one file, and it's going to be dynamically allocated, which means that if it goes over 8 gigs, it'll expand past that 8 gigs, and it'll shrink and move with that size of what I'm doing. So if I add large files into it, it'll save, and it'll create a larger file for it. So again, call it Kali2, give it 8 gigs. I'm going to create the disk now. So then before you do that, you have to obviously set up the drive for it. So I'm going to go ahead and choose the disk, and I'm going to go to Kali, which is right here. Selected, hit open, and then I'm going to hit OK. So then you want to make sure that you want to select your ISO before you boot it up, or else it's going to boot and it's going to have nothing. And let me get rid of that first so I can show you what that looks like. Remove this just to see what it looks like when it boots without it.
So at this stage right now, the operating system or your computer, this is like having a computer completely built, but there's nothing loaded into it. You just have a blank hard drive sitting there doing nothing. So you need to install an operating system next. And so when he throws Kali into it like that, that's simulating putting in an installed disk into the hard drive or into the drive.
So without that, this is what it's going to look like. It's going to say no bootable media found, system halted. So we're going to go ahead and shut it down. And then we're going to add that the ISO image back to it. And it is right here, Kali. Open it. Click OK, and it's gonna load right here. It's gonna say IDE controller primary master the ISO image. So we can just go ahead and start that image, and it should boot into Kali. So what we're gonna do is you have all these options that you have available, and you can either install it or you can run live straight from the image itself. And for us, for this instance, we're just gonna go live.
So the major drawback of a live install versus a actual full install is there's no persistence in it. So anytime you power it off, you're going to lose that data. Everything is kind of like held in a temporary status.
Correct.
So I know you were talking about Tails yesterday. So Tails is an operating system where it runs live, so it's only in memory. It runs off a disk or USB stick. And yeah, once you close that down, nothing's stored on the hard disk. But in addition to that, weren't you saying that Tails overwrites like ones and zeros over the partition or something like that?
Mm-hmm. Right. I believe it does. Is it 6 overwrites to prevent any kind of memory scraping from happening?
Mm-hmm. And so that's to memory.
Yes, correct.
That's interesting, right? Because I've heard of hard disk, ones and zero. What's that? BC wipe? We used to use that back in the day, but this is actually for RAM. That's interesting.
Well, no, not necessarily, because not everything is loaded into RAM when you're using Tails. It occupies some hard drive space, especially when it's using swap space.
Yeah.
But can't you so for instance, say I took my hard drive out, right? I can throw a live CD in there and it'll run just fine. So unless you configure it to use swap space or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, let me look how many overwrites it does. All right. So after you basically boot into your virtual machine, And you set up the Windows XP box exactly the same way.
Yeah, exactly.
With the Windows XP box, you can just give that 512 because you're not actually going to really do anything with it. Usually, we just use the Kali box as our main. The Windows XP box is kind of like the dummy that we test exploits on or whatever. So the next step in the process is basically networking them together and seeing if we can get a connection. Which is what we're doing now.
Which this one should be done. Three. One. Oops, that's a different network. Oh, that one's talking. Why did this one not work? Oh, that's right.
I just tried to click over to the other VirtualBox machine. I think you're on a different. I think you have this NIC set differently than the others, don't you? Don't you have it set to
host only? VMs connect. That's why.
Click.
We're good. There we go. So this should pull a different one. So there you go. That's 102. Oh shit, that's keep going. Okay, so we got 102. Everything's pingable. Okay, and then 3. Okay, there we go.
Sweet. So you can see, like with VirtualBox, like how beneficial this is. This is really flexible. Like right now, he basically has 3 computers sitting here doing whatever we want, all networked together, and its own little internal network that doesn't have access to the outside world. So this is a perfect thing, a perfect place that we can practice a lot of our techniques, a lot of the tools and stuff that we use when we don't. And it's really good to use when you're not really 100% sure what a tool does, because the last thing you want to do is affect something outside of your network, especially for the legal consequences of that.
And that's something that, excuse me, that's something that Alpha's going to run through later. Based off of this whole situation, I don't know if you're going to use Kali or not, Alpha, but he plans on doing a buffer overflow discussion that's going to go in real detail of what is actually happening behind the scenes, and this will kind of give the basis setup of how to set up your network to do that.
Right. Yeah, I'll be using Kali.
Okay. And then you're going to have the actual program running on XP.
Right.
Okay.
Well, I actually just might do the buffer overflow as a stream like this. I was going to make a video series on it, and I'll probably still do that. But what I like about this format is that people can ask me questions as we go, and I'll know how to tailor my videos based on those questions. So yeah, essentially what I'm going to do is I'm going to run through, where a buffer overflow comes from, how it occurs, and actually step through, the big picture of, a lot of the questions that I had, when I was learning this stuff is why something occurred. So instead of watching all these videos where they're like, oh, just type this in and it works, I kind of want to step through, hey, this is what you type in, and this is why you're typing it in, and this is, so on and so forth. So I think the next stream that I do is probably going to be in that type of a format. Yeah, or I could record the live stream, absolutely.
And that's what we're doing. This stream that's going right now is recorded, so, and it'll probably be uploaded to the Hack Method YouTube page, so we can just start putting those out one by one for the live streams, and do separate videos from that.
So that's pretty much it for VirtualBox setup. It's a pretty simple process.
Mm-hmm.
Does anybody have any questions?
And at this point, we just questions or BS session.
Yeah, that's all we pretty much had planned for today.
Are you over there yawning? Yeah, you got to get some drink in you.
I cannot stop yawning there. Yeah, so that's kind of the formal part of our live stream is over. We're just trying to answer any questions you guys have.
And Kurt, if you have any questions or suggestions, anything we can change or add into this, we welcome it. It's open community right now.
Actually, I wouldn't even mind because our emails should be in the sidebar over there. If you have a question or you're working on something, you can't figure out how to work something through, I wouldn't mind walking through some stuff if you guys had questions that way too. All of us, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're not claiming to be professionals at anything or everything at once, but it's just we're trying to get out information and experiences that we have.
Right.
Yeah, you can reach us all. Our little cards are down there on the bottom with our various ways to contact us. You can hit us up any one of those methods. Although, I don't know, can you private message in Twitch?
You can.
Don't private message me in Twitch because I'll probably never check that.
No, but you can. You should be able to, like, what is that called? /whisper or some crap. I can't remember.
So
yeah, Kurt.
Of the social engineering, he's saying the human psychology part of it. That's a huge part of. I guess we were kind of talking about this earlier. It falls under the umbrella of hacking, I'd say, because you're hacking the human mind, right? So I actually have an anecdote for this one. I was able to, I don't know, I guess you could say social engineer AT&T. This was like 5 or 6 years ago, but I kept getting charges on my cell phone saying that I had purchased these games that I never purchased. And so I'd call them and I'd say, hey, I didn't purchase this. And then one of the times that I did that, the phone call dropped. And so I recalled them back and I was like, hey, I was just talking to Ted from accounting. And he said that you can go ahead and remove these charges. And the girl's like, oh, sure. If somebody already said you could, then go ahead and we'll remove them for you. So like a few months later, more purchases popped up on my card. So I called them up again, but without talking to anybody at all. The first thing that I said was, yeah, I was just talking to somebody for like 3 hours and the phone call cut just as they said that they were going to remove these charges for me. And the lady goes, oh, did somebody say they were going to take care of that for you? Okay, let me go ahead and remove those charges. And so it wasn't really getting around the system. It was just saving me the time of having to wait 3 hours of actually talking to somebody.
I love it.
So take that for what you will.
Right.
So some write-ups that we kind of have on the horizon. I guess we can talk about some of that,
yeah,
right?
Absolutely. Future projects on the horizons.
So Alpha and inCIDR are currently going through some trials and tribulations with setting up some home IDSs.
Right.
You guys want to talk to any of that?
Okay, so we have two different boxes that we have. So Alpha has an Intel NUC, and I have a Gigabyte Bricks. I don't know if you're familiar with this. NUC is a new wave computer, or a new wave user computer rather, and it's super small, maybe like 5 inches by 5 inches, and it's a little square. And they're not low or they're low power, and they're very powerful. So what we're gonna do is we're trying to do dual NIC, which they only come with one, and our trials and tribulations aren't with getting it to run or getting it to work. It's to get it recognizing the second NIC. So I don't know, Alpha, you're having some issues with that same process. Is that correct?
Right. So I'll probably do a write-up on this. All the things that I went through to try to set up my NUC. So essentially, it's just a small I call it my little supercomputer, right? It's a micro ATX or mini ATX computer. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to put ESXi server on it so I could run a dozen virtual machines. And I was hoping to do like a firewall, maybe an IDS system, all kinds of, fun stuff to play with on my home network. Unfortunately, to have that kind of a setup where your firewall is in line between the WAN connection and your internal home connection, you have to have two network interface cards. Unfortunately, the NUC, at least the generation of NUC that I bought, only has one interface. So I bought a dongle, Ethernet dongle, to kind of give myself two interfaces. Unfortunately, pfSense, which is based off of FreeBSD, Unix, Linux type operating system, doesn't have the drivers for my Ethernet card. So that'll be a huge write-up. But what I really want to talk to eventually in that write-up is how to set up a home lab network. And I think Cider, you probably can speak to that as well. Just, you know, what you're using your home lab for, whether it's, you know, reviewing IDS logs for fun, or I don't know. What do you do
Yeah,
for
so
fun?
so we sit at work and we see our IDS traffic and everything that comes through. And it's scary. It's really scary of what's going in and out of your network. And I don't know if I want to see that on my home network. I'm really hesitant to start reviewing my own logs and looking at my own stuff. And I should, for some reason, because I know that individuals are targeted more than corporations. So I should start looking at my own stuff more often. And what I wanted to do was the same setup. I'm going to put it in line. It'll be straight from my modem to my NUC and then into my network. So I'm going to do that way. So I can have PF sense and I can have multiple. It's essentially going to be a demilitarized zone on my network or just before my network leaves or to go out to the World Wide Web, so that everything's accessible from from a different perspective. Than I'll have two layers of defense. So I'll have a firewall coming in and then a firewall before it goes out.
Yeah, my hard thing to kind of figure out right now is how do I want, you know, my network laid out? And that's one of the things, that's one of the, I guess, lessons learned is draw out your network first before you buy equipment. Because I got a pro tip to buy this NUC from a friend of mine, and I didn't do the research into what interfaces it had. And so you really should draw out your network before you do anything. And I was kind of overzealous and kind of shot from the hip, and it kind of bit me in the ass. But I did learn a lot of things. So
yeah, we're definitely learning as we go. So it looks like I don't know if what Alpha's gonna do, but it looks like I can kind of get mine going. I think to where I want it to work, but it's gonna take some Frankensteining.
mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Root.
Oh yeah, pro tip, huh?
yeah. Root gave me that pro tip there. Thanks, bud.
Yeah, no worries. So I'm gonna kind of work on something a little bit more devious.
So that wasn't devious enough.
No,
the pro tip.
Not. So I notice a lot of people on how to hack are often give people advice. Oh yeah, just Nmap scan this guy, or to do conduct recon this way, or I'm actually going to try to instill a little bit of fear in you guys and show you what an actual Nmap scan looks like and how to actually conduct an Nmap scan the correct way. Because a little known fact in the beginner hacker community is that an Nmap scan is actually really loud, and it's pretty much equivalent to setting your neighbor's house on fire. For anybody who's looking at their network traffic,
just to see who runs out.
Right. So I'm going to kind of show that, going in a little bit advanced techniques and stuff like that. And there's already some tutorials that are on the website for scanning, but this is going to go in a little bit more advanced tactics. And I'm going to probably present this in a video format rather than a write-up, because it's going to look a lot. It's a little bit more. You kind of need to see it in the flesh, so to speak, in order to see that. Actually, do you have Wireshark? Wireshark isn't on Kali, is it?
It is.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, you could just do it right now on one of the Kali boxes just for fun.
There you go. Oh, you son of a bitch. There we go. All right. Do E0.
So I guess, yeah, I'll probably do that, and I'll probably do a little bit more advanced, like a Wireshark tutorial. Oh man, do attack A.
You want me to do attack A?
Yeah, just go for it. Capital A.
I think that's what this is. All right. Do this.
Yeah, and I think that's what Root is talking about. Is a lot of these new guys, they're just throwing everything at the wall. Sure, if you read through that Nmap book by that one guy Frodo, the actual creator of Nmap, he showed you how to tailor your scans very specifically. And there's probably, I don't know, there's thousands of combinations. There's probably hundreds of thousands of combinations of Nmap scans that you can throw out there. But for the new guys, they throw that TAC A, SV, TAC O, I want everything. And typically that's real loud.
Yeah, so here you can see this is pretty loud. You see a lot of TCP connections coming from one address. You see a lot of SYN packets coming through, and it doesn't show it in the default view of Wireshark, but it's basically going to enumerate every single port within the box, and it'll just list them out. And that's kind of what you see there on the right-hand side. EP map, DDI, HTTPS, SFTP, Blackjack, Microsoft DS. Those are all port services for standard ports. So yeah, use Nmap scan if you want to get caught. Most people who are trying not to get caught will literally send one packet a day, if that. And it's very targeted and it's very pointed. A complete swing or a sweep is something that you use when you're trying to get caught.
Yeah, because if sweep of anything, your IDS is going to pick that up right away.
Yeah. Well, so Kurt's talking about the Red Team Field Manual, which is a good book, really good book. The Blue Team one is also just as good. And how it has concise end mapping sections within the book.
So, Kurt, the only reason that I don't recommend people to just go pick up the Red Team Field Manual right off the bat is because you can't look at the Red Team Field Manual and understand what's going on without some background knowledge. That's kind of why I recommend people to read a little bit more in depth. I'm a big fan of helping people understand why they're executing the commands that they're running. If you probe 80 just to see if there's an open web panel or something, that's absolutely nothing. Right, and you're absolutely correct, but you also need to understand what you're probing, right? So, like, why would I ever probe a regular user box on port 80?
Right.
That looks weird, right? That's an anomaly. That's a user box is never going to have a technical. It shouldn't have a web server running on it. So if I'm, say, inside of somebody's network and I ping a box on port 80, either I don't know what that box is and I'm hoping there's a web server there, but any IDS is going to definitely pick that up and be, hey, this is weird. Why is traffic coming on this port?
So yeah, just think about that. That was a single packet that you sent, or even, that's the three-way handshake. All it took was those 3 packets, and you're found pretty much.
I just mean in general, Kurt. I mean, no, definitely not. If you shoot 80 at like DMZ where there's a web server hosted, no. I mean, that's not weird, right? It's not weird at all. But if you see, say, within your internal network, okay, here's a good example. So say you break into somebody's network, you're on a user box, you pull down SSH tool onto a box, and then you try to initiate an SSH connection from a Windows box outside of your network. That is weird. Right. Really weird. So I'm just saying that there is a lot to be determined on how traffic works and who should be communicating with what. And IDSs now are starting to kind of be pick up these what's the word for it? Heuristics.
Right.
Heuristics, yeah.
Heuristics rather than just straight raw traffic. What is something that should be talking versus what is something that shouldn't be.
This is act natural.
Pretty much. Pretty much. So yeah, that's basically where I'm going to be going with it. I'm going to be doing that kind of thing.
That was a good discussion.
What the heck is going on? So anybody have anything else?
So we got 12 people in here, not including us 3, but we got like Zoc E1R, Spectre's in here, Salavi, 63.
Saliva.
Salavi. I love it. And then we got implicit _. Damn, that's a good name. And then we got Kurt. And then was this Metium? However you pronounce it, I'm not certain.
C'est
We
la
got
vie.
C'est la vie.
Oh, c'est la vie. Oh, look at you. You're clever.
I love
That's
it.
funny.
I love it. And then we've also got who's this Trash Can Love, who's been here since like the before we even started streaming, was just sitting in the channel.
I'm pretty sure he's just sleeping at his computer.
Probably.
So, do you guys have any questions or any discussion about anything in general? Anything to bullshit with, since we're pretty much done with the material we wanted to go through?
So I know, Root, you wanted to talk about like maybe going over some of the stuff that was actually on How to Hack.
Yeah. Let's see. Let's see what's on How to Hack today and discuss. So, hacking websites with SWF.
Ooh.
Let's talk about Shockwave Flash.
Yeah.
Hacking websites. Right, yeah, Kurt. Kurt said, when will you guys show how to get Twitter passwords? Kurt, I'm going to show you guys how to get Twitter passwords right after I get done showing you how to bypass iCloud 8.3 security. And then shortly after that, I'm going to tell you how to break Snapchat's API. So this guy hacking websites with SWF, thought crossed my mind where I wondered if it would be possible to rip, decompile, edit, and then recompile a SWF, and then embed the hacked SWF into the legitimate website that caused interfering functions to receive the tampered data. I've got it to the editing stage, but I don't know how to recompile SWFs without fucking over the whole thing.
I guess the bigger challenge is how you'd re-upload that back to the, unless you did some sort of cross-site script, upload injection, something, you know what I mean?
Right.
So I think the first thing is you don't recompile or compile a Flash file.
Oh, there you go.
Right.
I'm not really 100% sure what this, that's like saying, I'm wondering how it's possible to inject dirty HTML code and compile it on the back end to have it call out to a shell.
Right.
I think Shockwave Flash is just the data. I mean, I'm not a huge like web dev guy or anything like that. That's not where my strength lie. But from my understanding, you don't really attack the actual like media, the Shockwave Flash file. You're attacking the process or the service that is processing the Shockwave Flash in general. So you're looking for vulnerabilities within that. I don't think that's a real thing. Yeah.
Well,
and this guy directed
freezing reality coming in.
Freezing reality.
At the very end of our video segment, he's coming in. Or they are, not he or she. Just they.
So here's a good one. This guy, this is the I feel like we're gonna probably answer this question on every single stream or every single Q&A ever. How do I start learning about cybersecurity? I am interested in learning about ethical hacking, penetration testing, and cybersecurity in general. I have very little knowledge from university. I study telecommunication engineering, so cybersecurity is not a main topic, but we have learnt some basic knowledge, and I don't know where to begin. Should I read the all-in-one CISP book? Well,
no. One, it's very boring. And two, the CISP book is more from a management perspective. So you want to learn managing, but if you're trying to get into the whole ethical hacking, penetration testing, and cybersecurity in general, that's not going to do anything for you. Because that's showing you how to set up a COOP site or how to set up backups and how to manage your resources versus your people, and that's more than what you need to know as trying to get into the cybersecurity world.
So I didn't actually take the CEH bootcamp. I just took the test. Did either of you take the bootcamp?
I did.
Is it anything? So you know what I did at my last job where I was a teacher. Is any of it like that, or do they actually show you do they teach you the hacker methodology, scanning first followed by? Is that
no CISSP? You want to for CISSP or CEH. Oh, CEH. Okay, yeah. So CEH runs through that. They do little bits here and there, and I think there's a little bit to it. But CEH itself is from in my experience and everything that I've learned, is an easy certification to grab, and for you to not sit through it and then go just take the test, kind of points it right.
Right.
So if that makes any sense. So
I don't think. I mean, I haven't taken a CEH or any CISP classes, so I
right,
can't
but
speak to that.
also knowing your background, Root, knowing your background and everything that you've gone through, CEH would not be a problem.
Right.
Pick up
Yeah,
and do and take the test for CEH, even though it is a 4-hour test and all that crap. It would probably take you minimum an hour to complete, or
Right.
maximum an hour to complete.
so the only thing that I'm gonna do for if I get CEH is if my employer pays for it. I'm not gonna go out and get it myself.
No, absolutely not. And it gets to the point where that CH is, it's hosted, or not hosted, but it's from a company that's in Indonesia, and it's kind of weird that you're getting certifications from a company in Indonesia. So
Right.
it just kind of sticks out like this doesn't seem right, but screw it, I'm gonna go get it anyways. So like CEH and ECSA, I think that's the one you're taking next. Is that right, Alpha?
What's that?
ECSA.
Yes, ECSA.
Okay. Yeah,
Which I was
mine.
looking through the reading material for that. I'm not a huge fan of those types of tests. I just kind of just want the cert. But CISSP is, I like those certs better because they test your knowledge in a lab environment. So I don't know if there's the equivalent for like the hacker methodology, but I would look into something like that.
Yeah, I mean, there's larger certifications out there than CEH, and if you and this is the truth of it, if you take CEH and you go to DEF CON and you say I'm a certified ethical hacker, they're gonna laugh at you. Majority of the audience is just gonna laugh at you because you
Mhm.
have CEH and you claim to be a certified ethical hacker. But
Mhm.
it kind of carries weight for a job if you're trying to go elsewhere.
Right.
Huh? Yeah,
And
Kurt.
Kurt, yeah, I agree.
I don't know. I'm trying to stay not management.
Oh, you know what? I think I said the wrong thing. CISSP. No, no. What's the next tier CCNA cert?
Oh, CCIE. Oh, no,
That's
CCNP.
No,
CC.
CCNP, yeah,
Those are the
CCNP, then CCI.
two that I was thinking. My bad.
yeah.
Oh, CEIE is insane.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping my bread and butter
Yes.
is going to be.
CISSP is a 6-hour test, 250 questions. I've taken it, missed it by 2, and I probably really hesitant to take it again because of the 6-hour test.
Right.
I wouldn't try leak my passport.
Yeah, my only note to that, he says that, who makes the big bucks? The C-level people and directors, but you have to get to that point. I don't think you can
Yeah.
just
You
jump
can't just
into
jump
that
into
slot
it.
by having read books. They want to know that you've been in the field, that you know. So when your engineers come to you and they explain something to you, you know it at that fundamental level. Uh, and then you can be a manager, I'd say. But jumping rungs in the ladder, I don't know. For my team, I know that would be difficult.
Yeah. Say La Vie's talking about 6 hours is nothing because OSCE is a 24-hour test, or sorry, evaluation. And he's right, but I'm not going to get to the point yet in my, I guess, cybersecurity career that I'm going to jump into a 24-hour test. And we talked about this yesterday. How I turned down the taking the exam for Metasploit, and that's probably the reason why I turned it down because I don't feel that I'm ready for it in my current cybersecurity career.
So, let's see. Sylvie, have you taken OSCE?
We got a 7-second delay.
That's a lot better than like the minute that we were rolling with.
So I don't know. Let me see if I can move this around. See, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000.
Did you guys post the YouTube link?
I did not. Uh,
Okay, so Say Levy has OSCP.
oh, he has OSCP. Okay, so I haven't taken OSCP, and that's actually the certification that I want to take next. Did you find it to be challenging? See, now the crowd's teaching me
I love it.
because OSCP is something that I really want to do.
I mean, yeah.
It's just hard, man. I mean, like you gotta spend a long time doing their labs. And then, you got a 24-hour practical exam where you actually have to exploit box to box. And then you have to do a write-up in the end. So it's a big time commitment for OSCP.
The comical requirements for GSEC cert.
Oh yeah, GSEC. Yeah, GSEC. I mean, GCIH is kind of a little bit of a joke as well.
It is.
I mean, I learned quite a bit of good things on GCIH. I like the class that I took, but the test itself was just teaching a test. Eclipse Oak. Are we gonna have the VOD saved? Yes, we're gonna have the VOD saved. We're gonna upload it to the tubes.
Yep, the inner tubes.
Yeah, I'm just doing some configuration on the YouTube channel right now, but it's trying to figure it out. I've never really done YouTube channels before, so.
Yeah, so this, you guys are seeing this because we're doing this brand new. We're not used to all of this stuff. We're just trying to share it all out. And Twitch was our first output, and we took over for Rotten Scotty on Hack Method. We're going to work out trying to redo that site to have it more specific to what we like. And then the YouTube channel is also going to be another outlet for us to do this on.
So I want to get at least one or two ideas from the crowd about something they want researched. So if you guys can post that up, just to give at least me some direction for the upcoming episodes.
Yeah, so that's another thing, Kurt. We did actually, we talked about this yesterday, about having weekly podcasts in addition to the stream. So we'd probably do either weekly podcasts or bi-weekly podcasts with our streaming in addition to it. So that's another way we've tried to go across with it.
Oh man, my dog's talking a whole bunch right now. GIAC is serious if you took their class or not. GIAC.
GIAC is GCIH, but that's the G portion of GCIH.
Yeah. I don't know.
So common vulnerabilities. Trashcan Love is talking about common vulnerabilities.
Don't run Windows XP.
So I would say, I don't know, common vulnerabilities isn't really like, I don't think there's any common vulnerability at Trashcan. I think that common bad practice is probably what you're going to see the most. So, admins that don't necessarily know how to operate in a security conscious world, leaving guest administrator enabled, poor patch practice.
Yeah.
Misconfigurations,
that's
I think, is the big one.
Yeah, that's huge. Misconfigurations and bad patch management.
You're very rarely going to see somebody creating a zero-day exploit and drop a zero-day exploit on somebody. Zero-day exploits are extremely difficult to create. They cost a lot of money to develop. They take a lot of time. And when you end up with a result that actually works, most hackers aren't going to just lob it at somebody. They're going to probably sell it. Reverse engineering, backend code and stuff. How to look for exploits. So, Kurt, you're talking about
Go ahead.
talking about insecure coding practice, Kurt?
I'm wondering if he's not talking about like fuzzing to find a vulnerability. Is that what he's asking for?
So, I don't know. You could differentiate between the two. One being more instructional and more industrial. So, like we could do, the Twitch as in the instructionals. Here, this is how we're gonna do this. Buffer overflow, so on and so forth. And then if we did go to the point of podcasts, it would be here. This is the industrial news kind of stuff we get from work. How it's here. These are flash bulletins. What we found in the inside of not our network, but our society.
Kurt at work says the hardest part is getting the code behind the software, and that's absolutely right. But you're almost never going to get that code behind the software. So that delves into the realm of, understanding assembly code, running software through OllyDebug to see what it does, running it through. There's different tools where you can figure out, okay, how was an executable compiled? When you do run that executable, is it reaching out and talking to anybody? So you don't necessarily need the back end. It's more about, especially for reverse engineers, that's the whole point behind it, is finding out without that back end what it's doing. And so there's several tools that we can talk about, actually. And that wouldn't be a bad stream as well.
Yeah, I'm writing these down.
Awesome.
Yeah, we did a lab exercise maybe a year and a half ago, one of the classes that I was in, where they had you run a piece of malware and see who it reached out to, see who it communicated with. And do you guys know what tool it is that no matter what IP address or no matter what domain a piece of malware tries to go to, it reverts it back to your own box so that you could redirect it to your own...
Give me a second. I think I have that somewhere.
I can't remember what it's called. It was...
Me neither. Shit.
Anyways, it was an interesting experience because you clicked on the malware, it opened up a port somewhere, and it was trying to go to an ad click link. So essentially what it was a botnet. So you send this malware out to, say, 10,000 machines, and when somebody clicks on it, nothing happens really, but it sends a TCP connection to an ad click link. And so they're getting ad clicks and generating revenue, in the underlying subsystem that is the internet, and nobody was any the wiser. But we captured that in a virtual environment and saw that connection trying to go out, and we saw what IP address it was trying to go to, and that's kind of how you can track back where, now that IP address was probably, somebody else's compromised machine, but that's where you kind of start that chain to figure out where it's going.
Are you talking about looking in the unpacked version of everything, or are you talking about like...
No, so when you run the executable, it was like, I don't know, like DNS binder or something like that, where it tries to go out to malware.com, but you're pointing malware.com back to your host machine, because a lot of times malware won't like to connect if it can't. If it doesn't make a connection, it kills itself. So instead, you pretend like the connection's open, and it'll try to connect to it and actually send data. Damn it, I wish I remember what that program was called. I'll have to look it up. I have it somewhere.
Yeah, I should have it somewhere in my notes. So, see if I can find that. Why is there an echo?
Not
right.
Sure.
So as far as the fuzzing techniques go, when I go through the buffer overflow, I really hope I get this far, and I think I should be able to, is I want to craft a buffer overflow from scratch and walk you guys through every stage of the process, all the way from, fuzzing a vulnerable piece of software to find out, oh, it doesn't like it when I give it this piece of code, to crafting a unique piece of code that allows me to get access onto the box. But I kind of want to step through each phase in the process.
I like it.
Were there any more suggestions we missed? Common vulnerabilities, reverse engineering. Yeah. That's about it. Well, I think it's time for the dogs to eat. Being circled by sharks.
Interesting. Okay, so
appreciate everybody for coming out.
Yeah, if you guys have comments, questions, concerns, all the information to get a hold of us or reach us at some point is below. You should have Hello Root, inCIDRthreat, and Alphabet cards underneath. So if you guys have any questions, again, just hit us up. We should be able to respond. Most of us are attached to some sort of electronic device all the time. So we should get notification that you guys are asking questions or have comments, concerns. Bitches, grabs, or moans. So...
We're going to be hosting this video on YouTube. The link of it will post in the How to Hack Reddit thread. We don't have the YouTube channel exactly set up perfectly yet, so once we do, it'll be listed there.
Yep. So when it's posted, it'll be listed. We're good to go.
All right. Thanks for coming in, guys. Look forward to doing another one of these another time soon.
So
Later.
later, guys.